From above, Pattaya still looks like a dream. Indeed, I have many subscribers still contact me today and say that they've chosen Pattaya as the place they want to retire one day. You've got the sea, your condos, pools. It is a retirement fantasy. There's always company to be had, always somebody to have a drink with, and it has all of your amenities of the West. I think many subscribers would agree that this dream has been sold to a number of expats, some of which knew what they were getting into, and others which didn't. And this is where the dream starts to get complicated, because the version of this famous city that people think they are buying into is not always the same version that exists on the ground today. So in this video, we're going to take a look at 3 things that are changing the Pattaya dream. First, the demographic change. Who's coming here? Who the city is now chasing, and why a lot of older Western expats feel Pattaya is no longer being built around them. Second, the so-called family-friendly rebrand. Pattaya trying to look cleaner, safer, and more respectable, while the old reasons people came here from all around the world are still very much alive. And third, the property ownership question, because visiting Pattaya is one thing, but putting your retirement money into a property here is something very different. I do understand the appeal for some people here, as opposed to places like rural Thailand. So long as you've got enough money, you'll never be lonely here. There's always company. People are generally friendly. And in terms of the smileometer, which I often comment on in Thailand, I get more smiles here than some of the rural provinces. As you're walking down the streets, it's hard to ignore the smell of cheap hotel soap and the occasional mouthful of hot garbage, but beyond that, it's pretty clean. They've been cleaning up this morning. The bin trucks are out in full force. Here I am on Walking Street, and what I did notice walking down here is the massive increase in Indian nightclubs. These mega super clubs that have been built at serious expense too. Now, one strange thing about being on YouTube is that you often see a side of public opinion that most people never see. Not just the comments that stay up, but the ones that YouTube holds back. And whenever Pattaya comes up, especially when the Indian market comes up, my held comments fill up very quickly. And some of the comments get so ugly that I couldn't possibly repeat them here on this YouTube video. A lot of old and Western viewers feel that Pattaya has changed. They feel the city they remember is being replaced by something else. More Indian clubs, different tourists, different businesses. And it's this particular change in demographic that's making many of them reconsider where in Thailand they may want to retire, or if they want to retire in Thailand at all. The issue has also shown up in the press. Bangkok Post reported that tourism operators have been calling for a revision of the visa policy for Indian tourists. For the last couple of years, Indian passport holders were able to come into Thailand visa-free. That changed, and now they have to apply for an e-visa or get a visa on arrival with a 2,000 baht fee. The Indian tourism operators are particularly concerned about wedding groups. For one tourist, 2,000 baht is a fee, but for a wedding group of 350 to 500 guests, it becomes a serious problem. The report warned Thailand could lose up to 8 billion baht if Indian wedding groups start choosing other countries instead. So when you see Pattaya chasing the Indian market, there is a reason for it. It's serious money. And this is the balancing act that Thailand has to carry out. They want to maximize the revenue. They want the big spending tourists, the weddings and the investment. But at the same time, they want to be selective. They want the right kind of growth, the right kind of visitors. And they want Pattaya to feel like somewhere people actually want to come back to. And that is an almost impossible challenge. Because as you can see, once you start chasing the money, the place naturally changes. And I think that is the underlying feeling that many people are trying to express, albeit somewhat hyperbolic at times. And this is not the only challenge that Thailand is facing when it comes to Pattaya. As reported in the Tiger, Pattaya's tourism operators have put forth a proposal to the tourism minister aiming to transform the city's image into a family-friendly destination and aiming to distance itself from associations with sex tourism, which is arguably the industry that it has been built on. And while it is true there's much more to Pattaya than this, especially outside of the city, it is also true that there is a street-level contradiction. Indeed, there are a number of YouTube channels that exclusively cover the chaos of Pattaya and do very well out of it, because it's almost a nightly event. If we're honest, a lot of people who dreamed about Pattaya were not dreaming about a family resort. They were dreaming about the old city. Bars, women, cheap fun, and no judgment. It raises a somewhat uncomfortable truth. For many wannabe expats, the bad parts of Pattaya were the original deal in the first place. They didn't come because it was polished. They came for the freedom and the fun. Pattaya wants to clean up its image, but the thing it's trying to clean is also the thing that put it on the map in the first place. If it stays too rough, families and serious investors might hesitate, and if it becomes too sanitized, the old expat nightlife crowd may leave. If it tries both, the city is left confused, and property buyers are buying into a city that really hasn't decided what it wants to be. What's more is, when it comes to buying into a city, a lot of retirees and expats are looking at the news right now and thinking, what the hell is going on? The crackdown across Thailand against nominee companies and fraudulent land ownership from foreigners is absolutely justified. This is Thailand. It belongs to Thai people, and there are laws against foreigners taking ownership of land here. However, some wannabe retirees that are not fully tuned into Thailand's legal system are catching bits of this story, and it's making them think, do they really want the headache of investing in property in Thailand? And if they can't invest in property in Thailand, would that make them renters? And if they're renters, do they have enough money to make sure they can stay here long term? The nation Thailand recently reported that the nominee crackdown exposed a number of property law loopholes, many of which were suggested by Thai legal professionals to more naive foreign buyers. Some have now been caught up in this crackdown, and others have had to scramble to find new lawyers to put their affairs in order before they become the focus of attention. The old retirement dream is quite simple. You buy somewhere, you settle down, and you make it yours. But in Thailand, this is where it gets complicated very fast. This additional scrutiny is also causing foreign buyers to reportedly pause villa purchases. Remember, not every retiree wants to live in a small condo. They want a big space, they want a garden. And now the nominee structure is under tightened scrutiny. The market is reacting. There are some other worrying cases here as well. One official example of property confidence breaking is New Nordic development. According to the DSI website, DSI opened registration for injured persons connecting to what it described as a condominium investment scheme involving several provinces. DSI said complaints had been received from people requesting investigation and legal action, and said preliminary damages could amount to around 3.4 billion baht. Another related case I came across was that of Desmond and Mary, who were British pensioners that retired in Thailand in 2021. They actually bought a villa in Hua Hin and then got caught in a property access dispute with neighbours. The dispute allegedly involved access and building work around the property and then escalated badly. They were attacked by the neighbours and they suffered serious injuries. The part that makes the story powerful is what happened afterwards. Instead of the issue being neatly resolved, they became trapped in a Thai legal process. Their passports were confiscated and they faced court action. Bangkok Post later reported that they were happy to be back home in the UK after the ordeal. Now, although this didn't take place in Pattaya, it's all part of the same issues, and it's something that I'm hearing more and more in my comments these days, which is a radical departure from when I was making content, say, 2 or 3 years ago. Many cannot be bothered with the hassle, and we've not even touched on banking, tax, and many other issues that are coming up quite frequently in the news. After 16 years living in Thailand myself, I understand why Pattaya pulls people in. For a lot of men sitting back home, the place looks like a way out. Good weather and company, cheap living, and a feeling that life might just be easier here. It's a powerful dream. But after walking around, I don't believe that the old Pattaya dream can be sold without a warning label anymore. The city's chasing new money. The image is being cleaned up. The old nightlife is still here, but the property side is getting a bit more complicated, and people that once felt this place was built around them are starting to feel a lot less certain. Years ago, I think people looked at Pattaya and thought, yeah, I could retire there. But now they're asking, what exactly would I be buying into? All in all, I really want to see the best for the city. I've got many subscribers that live here and call it home. But I think that's going to require unified vision and a lot of work when it comes to defining what is Pattaya all about.